anybody can achieve anything that they want. If they really have a desire to move in a direction, it can be accomplished. And I'm a perfect example.
Welcome to the Winners Find a Way show. I am your host, Trent Clark. This is episode 13, Health, Happiness, and Cannabis with my good friend and entrepreneur organization member, Mark Worcester. He's the former CEO of a $20 million health services brand, a native of Boston, and has been challenged in both business and in his mental health. He has a master's degree, 2 of them in nursing, and then in medical cannabis science and therapeutics from the University of Maryland Pharmacy. He's the author of the book, Absolutely Effing Amazing. He's a coach, a podcaster, and the CEO of Keta MD. You will not want to miss Mark and I discuss the human condition, how perspective changes his way of thinking, how does having the right group of peers influence his life, and what foundational lessons he has learned along his journey. Join us for what will be amazing. I'm excited to be with my man, Mark Worcester. Mark.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Trent. How the heck are you, man? Good to see you, by the way.
Good. Yeah, thank you. It's wonderful to see you as well. Always a pleasure. And I hit that on my Fun Story Friday today on our link about how great our encounter was just a little bit before COVID.
Like weeks before COVID. We go to a 1,500 person conference, hugging, kissing, saying hi to everybody.
Yeah. Not anymore, right? That might have been our last 1,500 person conference.
It may be coming back.
Yeah, it's coming
Feeling
back.
good.
It's coming back. Yes. So welcome to the Winners Find a Way show. I'm excited to have Mark along. Mark is an absolute world beater and fellow entrepreneur organization member, which I'm excited about. I'll tell you about the show. If you're a first-time listener, if you've ever faced stiff adversity, felt like losses are mounting and you need to find a better way, you came to the right place. We talk to the 1%ers, whether you're an athlete, an entrepreneur, an executive, a leader, leading an organization, just looking to start becoming the elite person and on that journey today, and you're ready to begin, I think you're in the perfect place. We're going to get great insight with Mark.
Yes.
At the end, we will have some time for Q&A. If you have some questions, you can put them in the chat. Mark, before I introduce you, tell them about where people can find you.
Well, I can be found on all of the major social media channels. So Nurse Mark on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. I mean, I'm out there, but you can find me at thegreennurse.com. And, my email address is mark@thegreennurse.com.
Yeah. And tell them about your, you have a great little morning, I love your morning.
We do a daily dose. We do a daily dose. My partner in the Green Nurse and I, we do 5 days a week, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do a roughly half hour show that includes a lot around your endocannabinoid system. This amazing system that nobody knows about. And so we talk about cannabis, we talk about exercise, we talk about other modalities. It's a half an hour. It's great. And we start off with a little bit of what we call the daily love. And that's some inspirational readings and personal experience shares around what it means to be in that 1%, like what it means to really have a life that you absolutely love.
Yes. Yeah. All right. We're going to get to that too. All right. So let me introduce Mark a little bit in context. You're hearing him talk about some great things. Mark is the Boston native, he's a Pats fan, and we don't hold that against him. And you're still riding him without Brady, right?
There's no better place to be. If you're a sports fan, there's no better town to be from than Boston. Let me tell you.
Yeah, your Bruins didn't look bad last night. So you ran a $20 million health services brand for years. You've been an EO member for quite some time. You went back after that experience. You went back and did nursing, and then became one of less than 150 people in the U.S. with a master's in medical cannabis science and therapeutics from the University of Maryland Pharmacy. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So then you've had Nurse Mark. You started the Green Nurse recently. You're also currently the COO of Keta MD.
Keta MD, brand spanking new startup. We're excited. We're in the mental health space. It's an amazing place to be with a particular, just groundbreaking treatment.
Yes. Okay, cool. And then you're the author of Absolutely effing amazing. There it is. Yes, sir. Living a life
you love.
That's it. Living a life. You're a coach, you're a speaker, you're a podcaster. I like this. I like this quote. When you think of Mark, you're going to think about health, happiness, and cannabis.
That's right. That's it. That's it. That's the tagline.
Well, hello, Mark. I'm excited you're here.
I'm excited to be here, Trent. It's always a pleasure to be with you. And we always have some amazing conversations, and this is just a continuation of our relationship.
Let's talk about that why. Trent Clark, I asked you to come on my show. Winners find a way. Tell your why you come out and do this and talk about your life, your challenges, your successes, the ups and downs. Tell the folks at home, why do you do it? Why do you come out? Winners Find a Way show is brought to you by Data-Driven Operations, powered by Journeys. Journeys is a software solution that helps you create a winning formula for your organization. DD Ops, powered by Journey, helps you act as one, see as one, work as one, play as one, win as one. Are you looking for visibility, coachability, and productivity amongst your team? DD Ops is your software. Click on the link in the show notes to learn more.
I felt called to share my experiences, to show people that really anybody can achieve anything that they want. If they really have a desire to move in a direction, it can be accomplished. And I'm a perfect example. Like, I've struggled with a lot of issues and a lot of things that, if I didn't talk about them, you'd never, ever know. So it's in the book and why I do what I do, so that people understand, man, you are absolutely amazing exactly as you are. And, if you come from that, anything's possible.
Yeah, I love that. I do a fair amount of speaking to teenagers, young adults, mostly young athletes coming up. And, there's so much chirping about, you're this and you're that. And there's that insecurity that we all have, right? It's not just limited to 15 and 16-year-old kids. It turns out 51-year-olds have it too, right? And
everybody. It's the human condition.
It is the human condition. One of the things I love to tell kids is like, hey, listen, you're perfect. Like, God didn't make a mistake on this.
Right.
Like, you were just as the way you're supposed to be. And there's reasons for all of it. Right.
Yes.
So I love it. So let's talk a little bit about the most impactful pivot point for you that you had as a kid when you knew, hey, I'm going to do some great things. I'm going to set myself on a different path. I want to go a direction. And was there a moment for you as a kid that's kind of set that off?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it was when I was 17 years old and I stepped off a bus and stepped into some yellow footprints in Parris Island, South Carolina. So that was the pivot point in my life in joining the Marine Corps and going through boot camp. I had to have my parents sign the paperwork because I wasn't
17
years old yet. Yeah. I had my 18th birthday when I was had just recently graduated and I was at school. That was the pivot point, man, because that was the first time in my life that I actually realized that I could achieve things. Like, you probably had a lot of sports experience when you were in high school and junior high, right? That was your pathway.
Yeah. Sure.
I had none of that. I had no guidance. My dad worked a lot and wasn't really guiding me in what I should do and how to achieve things.
Sure.
So I didn't have that school sports experience. I really wasn't good at sports. When I entered that Marine Corps boot camp and I went through that experience, that changed everything. Everything came into focus. Suddenly I had athletic prowess. I could do things athletically. I started to play sports at that age. And, and just that the mentality that was instilled in me was you can win. You can win. Yeah.
Love that. I love that. So let's talk a little bit. I love the McChesney and Covey book, The 4 Disciplines of Execution. It's a nice book. Recommend it. But I love a quote that came from that. Winners, when shown data that they are losing, find a way to win. So let's talk a bit about your background. It kind of vaulted you to become one of those 1%ers, in the elite community. And, as an EO member, you're in the top 3%. Very few companies can achieve that kind of revenue result, right? So
right.
talk to me about an experience when you had that, when you were up against it, losing, down but not out.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about it, like what you did to change things. Set us up with the circumstance.
The circumstances, I have such a great example, Trent. And what seemed like at the time a horrible, horrible event really turned out to be one of the best lessons that I could have been given. It's not something that could be taught in school. It was a hard life lesson. So I was running my tech company at the time. And, we're doing probably close to 5 million in revenue a year. And we had 40 employees and we had 3 partners, and we had just had a breakup of the partnership. So one of the partners left, right? And it was not a good exit. And there was a lot of acrimony, and we were really, hard up against it, right?
Stress.
But yeah, stress, a lot of stress. So we had a line of credit with the Bank of America, and, it was probably out $300K. And, I had that line probably 3 years, and they never asked me to provide financials in that 3-year period. It was kind of a boom time, and banks were lending money like crazy.
Yeah.
And so they came in 1998. This is 1998. They came in out of the blue and said, show us the financials. We showed them the financials, and they immediately said, we want our $300,000 back. And I had no way. They had gave me 30 days. They said 30 days, 300,000. So they put me into this lovely area called forbearance. And that is when they milk you for every penny that they can get. And they assign somebody to your account where they'll come in and just beat you over the head.
Yes.
So they take all your money, so you can't really use any money to generate new revenue, right? Your capital's all dried up. It's really a difficult place to be.
Yes.
And so I was super stressed. But let me tell you what I learned from this. I learned to have financial discipline. I learned to read a P&L and a balance sheet down to the line item. Like, I learned how corporate finance works. Prior to that, I was just generating revenue and throwing money at stuff. Like, I wasn't really operating as a real, what I would consider a real entrepreneur, right? So that was the lesson I learned, is how to be fiscally responsible. We paid that money off in a year, and they went away. And
wow, nice.
Yeah. Right. So we got out.
There's very few stories that end like that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
when you talk about the workout stuff, it's like, oh, the workout usually ends badly, right?
Badly, right? No, it happened. It worked out really well. The timing was great because, Y2K was a huge revenue boon in the tech industry, because everybody was worried that, planes would fall from the air because the computers would not work. So, right, it was a good timing. But that really, really taught me a lesson in how to operate a business, by looking at the numbers, by, really understanding where your revenue and expenses lie. And, it was better than any college course that I ever could have been a part of.
For sure. That's awesome. Now, no. So what I hear is that you dove in with the forbearance workout person, right, who was coming in. You dove in with them, came alongside and said, show me the numbers, show me what you need, teach me, instead of what I think most people would like to do, which is like, well, we don't talk to them because they're the enemy, they're not on our team, all those things.
It could have been adversarial, but that wouldn't have accomplished anything because they had the leverage, right? Yeah. They had the agreements. They could shut us down if they wanted to. So the best thing that we could have done is do that. But I will say, it wasn't just me alone, Trent. I had a great team of people who were working for me at the time, and they believed in the organization. They knew what was going on. They could have jumped ship, but they stayed. And really, it was the team that made that happen, right? It wasn't just me. I mean, I was lucky enough to kind of understand how to get people motivated and moving in that direction. I guess that's one of my skill sets. I was able to do it at that point, but the team members were the ones who really, executed on this for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, what do you think the superpower is that kind of separates you
Mm-hmm.
from others that kind of catapults you to that 1%, gives you that ability, why they want to make you the COO, why they want to put you in that position?
I really think it's my positive energy. Like that is something that I bring to every single endeavor that I jump into, any volunteer work, anything at all. I bring this huge positive energy into the room, and I infuse everybody around me with it. I mean, you have the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, when we get together, it's like, everybody around us is glowing because we're giving it off, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about it. If you knowing what you do now, I mean, man, you're talking, this is over 20 years ago. This is almost 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know now, would you have done anything different? Like, would you think you could have been out in front of it? Like, you're certainly doing things now differently with Nurse Mark, with the Green Nurse, with Keta MD. Yeah. You're doing things differently now. What would you recommend folks that are sitting in that hot seat and facing adversity?
I would say that just understand that it's just a minute in time. Like, it's just a moment, and no matter what the outcome of that is, you're gonna be fine. Like, you're gonna move into a new space. You'll be where you're supposed to be.
That's
at the
so
end of the
good.
day. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I went through the workout thing, right? Like, I was the 09, actually we were 08. We were early. Like, we were right after the big, financial group that fell, right? And we felt like we were on an island. We must be the only, two that messed it up. And then, of course, everything fell off the table and everyone joined in.
Everybody joined in.
But man, I can really identify that with because when I was living through it, I remember I had to leave the office one day when the stress level got so bad.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't see straight.
No.
I'm like,
physically,
am I having a stroke? Like,
totally.
what's wrong with me? Like this, I'm a healthy guy. I work out 4 or 5 days a week. Like, I'm like, this is just not a chance. And I'm like thinking something's really wrong. I literally could not see straight. I had to have one of my, team members of my executive team drive me home. And I was like,
that's the level of stress that I was, what? And when I was going through that bank thing, that's when I found yoga, because I had somebody tell me, hey, dude, you are going to stroke out.
Yeah.
You got to go try this retreat place that I went to a couple months ago. And I found yoga, dude. Of course, I came back and immediately enrolled in yoga instructor school and passed and was a certified yoga teacher.
Because you're all in. Because you're all in, right?
Because I'm all in, baby.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
That's awesome. That's so good. Let's talk about a little bit of when things get hard on the journey. I mean, some of the advices that you've had along the path, that's a good one, right? Like, hey, your piece. And I love that someone would notice that. Like, hey, these levels are really, they got grips on you. You've got to get it back of self-control, self-health, and get back to self-care. And it's not going so great because, it's fabulous when someone you respect and know can say, hey, I know what this looks like 2 years down the road, and you don't want to go there. Yeah.
Well, think about it. Here's a good example. Look at somebody who's becomes president of the United States. Look at him on day one, and then look at him at the last day. It was like every one of them ages 10 years in a 4-year span of time. Yeah. That's stress, baby.
And they all do, right? And maybe,
they all do.
Yeah, they all do. It's and it's tough. And unfortunately, we have the video to show that, right? Like that's here's my photos from 84, and here you are in 88. Like, oh my gosh, what the hell happened?
Wow. Yeah. Talk about a beatdown.
That's good. So let's talk about some of the values you're practicing now. You've developed. I mean, you've made so many pivots and developments along the way. Yeah. Both personally and professionally. Let's talk a little bit about some of the values that maybe helped you see things differently and gave you a little bit better perspective.
Yeah, man. I think that really what's helped me the most is just understanding that we're all in this thing together. Everybody is subject to that human condition that we talked about, and that, people are just sometimes the way they are. And, I don't need to take that personally. That used to be a thing that I used to do a lot. I take it personal, right?
Yeah.
Not anymore. That's something that I let go of. So I just operate in the world understanding that everybody's doing the best that they can do with what they have at the moment, and that I can just come from this place of compassion and love for people, right? That's it. If I come from that, and it may sound strange on we're talking about business primarily, right? But I come from a place of love when I'm operating in the world, and I see that especially prevalent now in EO, an entrepreneurs organization. People are coming around to this way of operating in the world, successful, whatever, from a place of love. Like, what can I give back to the world? You know what I mean? I'm successful. How can I spread that to everybody else? That's what I'm seeing now. And I love it. I really do. I mean, such an amazing way to live.
Yeah. There's a lot of benefits that you get from fellow, people that are in your position, in your, have the same stress as you do, are living through that.
Talk
a lot of people
all
say,
the time.
Right. Yeah. They say, hey, it's lonely at the top. Right. Yeah. Well, like if you spend some time in a forum with some other people that are going through conditions like you're going through, there's so much value.
I do. I talk about that all the time. At the Green Nurse, we have a mentorship program where we meet every 2 weeks with a small group of nurses primarily who want to be in the cannabis coaching space, who want to understand more about that. So I talk about this all the time, man. Like, what you do, what I do, we're providing the opportunity to have that small mentorship space, that small space of being with peers. It's magical. I mean, I cite the example of, first time I was exposed to it was in Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
I mean, almost every entrepreneur's read that at some point, right?
Yes.
It's published in like 1933, but
it's
one of the gems
right?
in there, is find yourself a mastermind group, like be part of this group, and it will absolutely transform the way that you operate in business or in life.
I found that to be true. I mean, in all facets, I would be a personal proponent of that, right? That has changed things for me and given me different outlook. It's probably, I think one of the best things is probably, talking about that human condition, right? One of the best things is like Trent's lens isn't always clear and it's not always right. And I hear these people I respect come at from very different lenses. And I'm like, wow, Mark, I want to see it from your lens, because where I'm sitting, I don't have that vantage. So explain to me how you see that. And so it's like boom, boom, boom. And it's like, wow, okay, I can identify with that now. And I don't think otherwise I would have ever saw it.
No. I mean, I tell people all the time, my experience in EO, transformed everything, my personal life and my professional life, because of that you just mentioned. This getting a perspective from someone else, a peer that knows what you're going through experientially. So of course you value their opinion, their perspective. They give it to you. They see things that we don't see when we have this set of glasses on.
Now, let's talk about, that's good. Let's talk about, you've had a lot of success. Yeah. You've also had a lot of challenge, in fairness, right? So a lot of success. Almighty. Let's talk about the best battle you've conquered in your lifetime.
Yeah. The best battle that would be the battle against me. So, I am my own worst enemy, and I had to work through, I cover it in the book. I've had lifelong depression, mood disorder. I don't know what it's like not to have that. And, I struggled with it. It's not treatable with any medications. I tried every one over the course of 25 years, and that's why I wrote the book, because I think people need to hear that. They think many people are out there thinking I'm the only one who's suffering with this, right? Yes. I can't talk about it with anybody else. You wouldn't say that in the normal entrepreneurial space. But I think that it's hugely important. So that's what I had to deal with. I had to overcome myself, like all of those things, and what it came down to really, Trent, was self-love. Like, I did not love myself. And that was the root of all of the issues that I had in relationships with everybody else, and my business relationships, because I was always looking to the other person to confirm that I was not valuable. And I would always find evidence somewhere, somehow, that was the case. Once that was gone, once I worked through that and I used some specific tools, once I was able to get beyond that, and really, truly, I love myself. I really am absolutely amazing. You know.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I know I'm absolutely amazing. And I know you're absolutely amazing, right? Once I got to that point to where I could own that, everything shifted. Everything shifted. Yeah.
Now, are you covering that in the current book, this book?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Love it. That's fabulous. I tell you, I just had this conversation yesterday with Dr. Carlos down in Tampa. He's building some great clinics, doing some great things down there. And we were just talking about, like, man, I think there's so much need for mental health that isn't ever always diagnosed as, hey, I've got a condition, I've got a diagnosis, well, I need a pill. I just like to deal with some of the anxiety I get over this. Or I like to deal with the stress. Yeah. I get the stress over this because it affects me, those I'm around, those who love me, all these things. There's downstroke to all that when my mental health is a little off, right?
Right.
And I think it's really, what we've really found is it doesn't take much to knock our mental health off. Right.
Like, I mean, what's going on up here is it's complex, man. Like these circuits get wired and these little synapses and the chemicals and the electrical signals. I mean, we really don't know much about it. And we've been studying it for a long time. So we really don't know much. But here's the thing. Everybody's suffering from the human condition. We keep going back to this. We all have to deal with this. And so, especially after we've gone through this traumatic pandemic that we've been through, right? That shifted a lot for everybody. The World Health Organization predicts that by 2030, depression is going to be the major global health burden, the largest. So, yeah, mental health is huge. It all starts up here.
That's not great health. It's not really what I want to hear, right?
Well, hey, bro, that's why I'm working with Keta MD and the green nurse. Like, I moved into this space. That's what happened. I moved from my last tech company, dude. I sold at the end of 2017. I could have operated that, and gone out with a great lifestyle company, made plenty of money, didn't have to work hard because I knew the business inside out. So why would I get out of that, move into healthcare and get a nursing degree and get that master's degree in cannabis? Because I got to a point where I realized I wanted to help millions of people live a life that they love. And part of that is sharing my story in the mental health space. Part of it is being involved in 2 companies that are going to do just that, help millions of people overcome mental health issues.
Awesome. Let's kind of stay with this, because when you look in the mirror, you've probably adapted that. Like, my guess is before you did the work on Mark, right? And when you went through this process, you look in the mirror and you see, like, what most of us see, all the flaws. Oh, look at my hairline. I saw a
fat kid. Like a fat kid. I couldn't buy a date when I was 13, 14 years old, dude. You could have given me all the money in the world and I would not have been able to buy a date because I was a chubby kid. I was just, that's what I would see in the mirror. Like, when I would look in the mirror for, working through all this stuff, I would see that fat kid.
I mean, even after you went through the training, you're a Marine, you're in shape. Did you still identify that? Yeah. So
still.
When you see, okay, so let's talk about for those people that are struggling with this today, what should they be looking for in the mirror? What are they missing that, like, man, I am perfect. Like, I was made just this way for a reason, and there's purpose behind that.
Exactly. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. You are exactly perfect as you are. We compare ourselves to everybody else.
Everybody.
Like, shit, I wish that I was as handsome as Trent Clark. I mean, I wish that I had the baseball.
Nobody wants that.
You know what I mean? I mean, I wish that I had these. So, we compare ourselves to other people. What we got to understand is that other people are doing the same damn thing. Like, they're saying, if only, when you can get rid of the if onlys, if you can look in the mirror and say, this is me.
Yeah.
Like, this is me. I have times now where I say, oh shit, look at the bags under my eyes, the wrinkles. Oh, what the hell am I going to do? Well, then I think of my many friends. I've been blessed to have a lot of friends, Trent. I've been really, really blessed with that. So when you have a lot of friends, you have a lot of friends that die. I have friends. My best friend from childhood passed away of cancer almost 20 years ago now, and left behind 3 kids. When I look at my face and I say, "Oh, you're getting wrinkles, you're getting old," and you start to feel like, "Oh, I'm getting old. What can I do about it?" I remember that. God damn it, he would love to have another day to see his 3 kids, to be a part of their lives, to be here hanging out with me and having fun. Like, that's the reality. Damn it, I'm blessed to have another day. Yeah. So, it's those goggles, right? It's those glasses. It's and
we have it in everything. We have it in everything. We have it in, the women have it like, hey, she's a better mother than I am.
Oh my God. The women have probably all sorts of expectations around how you need to look. I mean, damn, it's so hard.
We set so that hard up, right? And not the whole condition sets that up like it's crazy. And I'm seeing it, in the church too, where, it's, hey, I'm a little bit more righteous than you, Mark. Like, what? Like, hold on.
At one point, I've done a lot of different things. At one point, I was a Eucharistic minister in a church. So I was in robes and it was a high church. So there was a lot of circumstance and a lot of pomp and I was a junior warden. So I get it. I was in that circle. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. So it goes across everything, and it's not like it's not happening with the kids. They're getting it. Hey, someone's this good at math, and someone's good at this. But we all admire people, and I don't think there's a problem with admiration. I like
not at all.
I admire being like and I talked about this morning. I admire the way you're present with people, Mark. Like, that's something that's very valuable to me. Like, you're present. Your presence is the present, right? Like, and it's awesome. And so I took that from our meeting last year in Orlando. I'm like, that's not a chance encounter. I don't think chance encounters happen. I needed that in my life. I needed Mark. He gave me a little encouragement. I really needed when I'm getting hit a little bit. I was a little bit down, right? And I'm thinking, like, man, what, I've got those opportunities too. Am I missing them? Because they're in front of me all the time. And I'm like, well, I could have gone and helped them, but I'm worried about my wrinkles and I'm worried about my, like, what am I thinking? Right? Like, what am I focused on? Like, it's crazy. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I know.
That's so good. That's so good. So let's talk quickly about the next thing. Let's talk a little bit about, quick question I had was, like, you talked a little bit about the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But who else developed you along the way? Your family was close. You guys had property together. Tell me a little bit about, what were some of those development like, including family and other people around you.
Yeah. It was, there's a lot of influences. I've been really, really lucky. My mom was a huge influence in my life. She sacrificed everything for her kids. That was her thing. And, she told me one time, she said, I knew when I was a very young girl that my role, my purpose in life was to have children and to make sure that they were happy. And I respect the hell out of that. She did exactly that. And she did that for me and my 3 siblings. And her parents were, I don't think my grandfather made more than $80 a week in his whole entire life. He was an auto mechanic. He'd get up every morning in a small town south of Boston. He'd drive into the city through the traffic, do his job at the mechanic shop, and drive back home. I don't even think I ever saw them take a vacation where they went anywhere, right? Their vacation was stay at home and work on the house and the garden. But what I learned from them was just enjoying the ride. They just did the same things. They were like solid, sturdy, always there kind of people. And I learned a lot from that. But there have been so many mentors along the way. I have been incredibly blessed. Some amazing business mentors and life mentors. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about, let me pivot to the authority, right?
Yeah.
I think that this is one of those itty words, right? Of leadershipity we talk about. Authority is, it's a challenge. And sometimes I also like authoritative is a negative connotation, but being a person in authority seems to be a little bit less attractive position today, given all the cameras, the media spin, the this and that. Like every decision is published. Every decision is up for debate on social media, right?
Yeah.
Like anything.
Everything.
So tell me about the current challenges. I mean, you've been in this position of authority for a lot of years.
Yeah.
Have you seen it changed? And tell me about some of the current challenges you're facing it.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Just being in the spotlight all the time and open for conversation and everything makes it much more challenging to be in sort of an authority position. I think it's important. I think it's important to be in the authority position. I think that it's something that if you're in a particular space and you choose to be in that, you should always go to be the authority, right? That's why I entered the cannabis space. I was cannabis agnostic, by the way. I didn't use cannabis for 35, 40 years, a very long time. I didn't care if you did, but I didn't. But once I started to understand the medicinal value behind it, I dove in 100% like I do with so think what I'm saying is if you're going to be in something, be the authority, like go to find this. I had to seek out this master's in medical cannabis science and therapeutics course. There wasn't a course. Like I went around, I looked around the world. I wasn't just looking here. Like Israel is at the forefront of research in cannabis. I looked there for a master's course. I couldn't find one. Then I found this one, it popped up, and I'm telling you, I was probably either number one or number two to put in an application. And 2 years later, I'm one of 138 people in the world to have this master's degree. Authority, right? I know something about the subject matter. So I think that's critical for people to understand is if they're going to be in something, be in it. Go all the way that you can go.
Well, and I think it's one of the things I think we've often found, even though sometimes misled, with the prisoners who are absolutely fabulous convicts, like I've poured myself into like learning this skill of stealing something or whatever. And we somewhat bring that up in our world, right? Like, oh, look at the art thief, the movie, right? And you're like, wow, that's so it's incredible. And we're impressed with they know it so well. And someone who's an art counterfeiter, because it so well and they can recreate that value. You have to be absolutely a level of expertise to be sometimes that authority, but certainly to be excellent and to be extraordinary in it. And I think that's a great lesson for everybody. Let's talk about the advice. What advice can you give on learning from our mistakes as well as our successes?
Man, we tend to look back at things. I know I'm speaking for myself. Sometimes I get into this space of looking back at decisions that I've made and say, geez, I really wish that I had done this differently. I really wish that, maybe I'd worked in this relationship a little bit harder, or I wish that I didn't spend this money on this particular thing. Right. And sort of beat yourself up about it. Right. But if you put on a different set of goggles, you understand that if you had done anything differently in your life in the past, you wouldn't be where you are right now in the circumstances that you're in, right? So I could have done things differently after I sold my last company. I could have made some different decisions or whatever. I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I'm in this amazing position with Keta MD. I have co-founded this amazing company with my partner, Sherry Tutkus, the green nurse. I mean, I wouldn't be married to the woman that I'm married to right now. None of that would have happened had I done anything differently in the past. So don't beat yourself up about things that happened in the past. Number one, the only place that the past is alive is in here. Like it does not exist outside of you. So you can let that all go and just be right here, right now, because that's where you have power and impact is right here, right now.
Yeah, I love that. Such a powerful story of how things are. I was faced with that once where a friend of ours was very ill and she needed a heart transplant. And her son was a doctor for a long time. Yep. Yeah. Accident as a doctor and went back to study cardiology, studied with one of the top cardiologists in the world. And, now we're talking 15 years later. And one of that top cardiologists was the transplant specialist out of the University of Chicago. And so when his mom needs this, he has all insider information on how to get on that list, how to do this, what's required of you, all these things. Like, how would I get that knowledge had I not gone through this process, which of what he thought was, the worst thing that could ever happen to him, right? Like, I can't practice what I've studied and so desire to do forever. We don't always understand why we're doing what we're doing, right? And why what's happening is happening.
We don't know what the plan is. The plan's like every day. The plan is new and fresh. Here we are.
For sure.
On this live stream.
So let me go real quickly.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about one thing. I know that you think the listeners might find value. I found so much value today in this episode, Mark. It's so good. I enjoyed learning about, how your presence is so valuable, how you've challenged and leaned into your mental health, how you've really worked on you and on the value of that and self-love and that value and importance. Can't wait to read your book, especially summertime. It'll be a great summertime read. Let's talk a little bit about if one thing that you could share from your experience, the best way to win. I mean, is there something that you want to share with listeners that we did not touch on today yet that you found valuable along this journey that probably you keep coming back to one of those foundational lessons, like, it always has to include this?
I would say this: people are more important than money. If you're in a situation where you have to choose between money and people, choose the people. It's going to serve you much better than the money. Yeah,
it's so interesting, right? Because you watch Shark Tank, and we always watch Mr. Wonderful, right? My kids actually like Shark Tank, which I enjoy that, right? Like, they're learning about that. Oh, this is a terrible product, Dad. Yeah. And Mr. Wonderful, like, he always chooses the money, right? And it's like, there's never a risk on the people,
right?
Yeah. Right. So it's a great example. Of course, you have a couple of other people who bet on we always call it in investing, right? You bet on the jockey, not the horse.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
So let's before we go, first of all, social media, where can they find you, Mark?
Well, listen, like I said, Nurse Mark on Facebook, Nurse Mark W on Instagram, and Nurse Mark on Twitter. So I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me, Mark Worcester. That's a great platform if you want to connect there as well. Always happy to have a conversation. That is one thing. I do not turn down a conversation, because I have learned that you never, ever know where it's going to lead. Right.
For sure. I learned that too as a young man. And one of my mentors said, always take the meeting. Like, take the meeting, learn, like, what they have an idea for you. They want to pitch you an idea. They want to talk to you. Take the meeting. It doesn't have to be forever, but like, listen to what they've got to say. And I always thought that was good. Conversations are always good. You can follow us on, obviously, Leadershipity YouTube Live. We have many more videos on the Leadershipity channel. You can find us at Instagram, Twitter at Leadershipity, leadershipity.com. I am at Trent M. Clark across all the venues, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can find me there. LinkedIn is probably our biggest. Those are all my handles. Look for our upcoming ebook, The Pyramid of Leadershipity. We're excited about rolling that out. That's coming soon. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please continue listening. Rate Winners Find a Way 5 stars. Subscribe to our channel. Work hard to find value delivering stories from our 1%ers. And they always deliver, just like Mark has again. Mark, I'm gonna put you on the spot. In challenge, you've got so much good data. You're well read. I mean, you do a daily, devotional almost, right?
Yeah.
And what's the verse or quote that's kind of your go-to that you just love, you'd recommend, like something you live by, and maybe can set your foundation right if you feel like you're a little off center?
That, it could go to a couple of different places. I don't think I have like a firm quote, but I have some readings that I will go to.
Okay.
And really, it comes down to two, I think. There's one by Werner Erhard, and it's called What So? And he wrote that back in the 70s. And it really is a great short read about setting your mind on this concept that what's happening right now is just what's happening right now. You apply the meaning to it. So that means you have a choice in deciding what it means. So I love that because it allows me to decide how to experience something that's happening. And having that choice is powerful. It creates a powerful way for me to be in the world.
What so? I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's written in the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to go to that.
And he's got some great stuff, but that's one that I really, really, really love to use. Yeah.
So for me, you talked about it at the beginning, but Mark, one of the things I admire so much about you is that energy. I do feel that positive. I do feel like you have a lot of mind thought control over how you see things, right? Like you're not going to let the negative come and bend it, and how you can perceive that and how you can react to it. I've always loved that. So I thought my quote for you today was Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And I thought, man, that's my man, Mark Worster, right there. Like he's the guy.
That's a beauty. I love that. Thanks, man. Thanks.
All right. Well, Mark, thank you for being with us today on the Winners Find a Way show. Please tune in next time. I'm back here next week. Super excited about our show. We're going to talk a little bit more on mental health. And thanks for listening. We will see you then. Mark, thanks again so much. Everybody have a fabulous weekend. Thank you for joining us for another Winners Find a Way show. I am your host, Trent Clark. If you love this episode, share this episode with your friends and follow us on whatever podcasting medium you're listening to. If you want more content from us, join us at leadershipity.com or the Leadershipity YouTube channel. You can find us on all the social media networks at either Trent M. Clark or Leadershipity. For our award-winning workshop, Win with Great Teams, you can find that page on LinkedIn as well as our corporate page, Leadershipity. If you want to win more, it starts with you today. Say it with me now. I have what it takes.